Hey everyone, Sarah here, and today we're going to be doing an acrylic painting. You might have noticed that the beginning part of the stream said that it was a koi fish drawing. That is because Sarah forgot to change last night's message, so sorry about that, but we are actually going to be doing acrylic painting. Koi fish, goldfish rather. Did I say koi? I don't know. I meant goldfish. So we're doing a goldfish. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to show you what we're doing. You are welcome to go out there and check it out yourself. But let me bring up Discord. By the way, right here is my Discord server. There's also a button below that takes you straight to the Discord server. Anyone is welcome to join. I put all of my reference photos up every day. So the reference photo for today, what we're going to be painting off of, is there. And let me show you what that looks like. Hold on. There we go. All right. So this is what we're going to be painting. I know this is a little small, but we're going to be painting this lovely little goldfish here. Now notice that it's a little bit stylized. So it's realistic, but not really. There's definitely kind of a cartoon type aspect to it. So there you go. But that's what we're painting. So let me just real quick go over the supplies that I'm using today, and then we'll get started. So I've got a 9x12 canvas. I'm using a canvas board, so it's thin. See, rather than actual canvas, mostly because these are easy to frame, and because I make a lot of these, then weekly, so they can pile up quite fast, and so this takes some of that depth out for me. But you can frame these. I mean, you can buy like pre-made frames at craft stores and places like Walmart and stuff. So these are great, especially for making gifts. Okay, I've got a palette. I've got paper towel. I've got some water here. I put paper down because you do not, acrylic paint is forever. It wants to be your friend forever and ever. So it will get things messy. I normally wear an apron, but I'm wearing clothes that I don't particularly care about today. It's like workout stuff, so I'm not too terribly concerned. I'm not going to be wearing my apron today, but I encourage you to wear an apron or some kind of cover-up shirt or something if you care at all about the clothes that you're wearing, because once acrylic paint gets on it, you cannot get it off. All right, I've got my paints. Now I'm running really low on white, and I ordered some more, but apparently titanium white in this particular brand is on back order. So I happen to have some backup. I have not used this paint in a really long time. I mean, it's several years old, so I don't know how great it's going to be, but we're going to find out. This is like a little bit cheaper paint, so we'll see. But I'm going to need white today, so there's that. I've got phthalo blue or phthalocyanine if you are buying from any brand other than Grumbacher, who has trademarked the word phthalo. Burnt umber, which is a brown, just your basic brown. Cadmium yellow medium, which is just a basic yellow. And naphthol crimson, which is a basic red. So if you had something like this in red, blue, yellow, white, and brown, you're good to go. That is all you need. Now there are acrylic paints that are like this. This is craft paint. I do not recommend using this because craft paints are very watery, whereas these paints here are thicker. So I don't recommend this. You will have drying problems if you use craft paint. Palette knife to mix the paints with. And then I've got two brushes. I've got a size 12 filbert brush, also called a wash brush, and I have a size 6 round brush. All right, let's get started. So first things first, we are going to paint the entire canvas, or most of the canvas, yellow. So we're going to put some of our cadmium yellow medium. And if at any time you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Sometimes I get kind of focused on the painting, but I do try to look at the chat and answer throughout. All right. So we're going to be using the large brush, the wash brush. So here is how you get your brush wet the very first time. You push it down and see all those bubbles coming up? That's all the air. And I push both sides to really get all that air out, and just gently push it to the bottom. You can see all that air coming out. So I do that a few times, and that just gets those air bubbles out. You don't want those air bubbles getting into your painting, because then you'll have like little pockets of where it's either very wet or dry, and it's annoying because it'll create it won't look very nice. Okay, so you don't want your brush completely wet, so just kind of wipe it on the edge there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come into your paint just on the side. Just come up the wall. See how I pulled it up? You're just going to pull a little paint onto the side. I usually pull it onto both sides. And you're mixing it with the water that was on your brush. And what that does is it makes it more fluid. So you're not putting pure paint on. It's actually like a little bit watered down, just slightly. And what we're going to do is we're going to do long vertical brush strokes. And see, I'm already getting yellow, so that would have been my desk if I did not put paper down. So I highly recommend putting paper down. So long vertical strokes. All right, I'm going to get a little bit more water on my brush and then come in and do the same thing, like pick up some more paint. And what that does is, like I said, it makes it more fluid. If you notice, notice how I just pulled that and it didn't catch everywhere. That's called dry brushing. And sometimes dry brushing is called for, but in this particular case, we don't want that. We want it to be more fluid. So I keep it wet. That makes sure that it goes nice and smoothly onto your canvas. So nice vertical strokes. Let me get a little bit more water. If you get a little bit too much water, that's no problem, but you do want to spread it around as much as you can, because these can take a little while to dry sometimes. I mean, acrylic dries faster than like oil, for example, but it's still, if you want to paint something on top of it, you don't want it to even be tacky, and the tackiness needs a tiny bit of time to go away. So just make sure if you get a little bit too much water on your brush, just spread it around as much as possible. Vertical strokes. Vertical strokes, folks. If you notice that, notice that my paint is only going to about here on both sides. If it starts getting close to this piece right here, which I cannot remember the name for the life of me right now, but if it gets too close to that, then you want to go ahead and wash your brush and start over, because the closer it gets, the paint can actually get up inside of there. It gets very difficult to get out, and then you can actually have paint dry up inside of there and start to pull your bristles out, and you don't want that. All right. So I'm not going to go all the way down over here, because we're going to have some foliage, some underwater foliage down in this area. So I'm not painting all the way down. We don't need to waste any paint over there. All right. So to clean your brush, it's very similar to how you got your brush wet. You just brush it, pretend like you're painting the bottom of your, and now it's getting cloudy, but pretend like you're painting the bottom of your cup. All right, now, if you are at home and you are near like a hair dryer or something like that, I'm sure everybody's at home right now. It's because of the corona. then I would recommend taking a hairdryer and just, blowing over this, because that way it will dry faster. And the way you can tell it's dry is it's not shiny anymore. I'm going to let this dry while I mix some paints. Let's see. So I need an ultramarine blue. Here's the thing. Phthalo blue is a little bit warm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a tiny bit of red in there. Just a tiny bit. So what I'm going to do, just to get a little bit of red in that blue, because I want to make it a little cooler. Cooler blue means it's more purple, and red and blue make purple. So I'm just going to get just a little amount. See, not much. And I'm going to mix that in. Phthalo blue is a very overwhelming color, which means that you need more paint. Normally, if I were going to make it like an orange, say, with my yellow, I would not even use this much red, because yellow mixes better. But because the blue is very color fast, it does not like to change. We needed a little bit more red. So we're cooling this down from a warm blue to a cool blue. To like an ultramarine. And I just mix it until I feel like the color's been fully mixed in there. Usually you can tell, but the blue's so dark it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Okay. Now I want to get this off, but I don't like to waste. So I'm going to get my brush wet, and I'm going to just pick it up directly from the palette knife. And then I'm going to wipe my palette knife off. Because it will dry on your palette knife, and then it's a pain. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing the same thing we did with the yellow. And just dabbing on the side. All right, now we want this to be dry, and mine is not 100% dry yet. But let's see, I'm going to go ahead. This one we're going to do kind of diagonal strokes. So I'm going to start over here where it's not where I didn't paint. So I'm doing diagonal. It's mixing a little bit. You can turn your brush sideways like that and then go straight up and down, and this will give you like a nice vertical, diagonal stroke. Now we need more water because I'm getting a lot of dry brushing. Okay, I'm almost dry. I'm pretty good. Okay, now it's okay if it mixes a little bit. Because then it'll make it a little bit like a teal color. But we just want to control how much it's mixing. So that's why we wanted it to be mostly dry. Mostly dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you that a lot of times my reference photo, my paintings don't look exactly like the reference photo. Usually I think they look better, but Maybe I want these to be a little bit more horizontal, I'm thinking. I think they are, I want them to be diagonal, but I want them to be a little bit more horizontal than I'm making them. So maybe like a 30-degree angle instead of 45. Man, look at my water. This is really cool because I'm just dipping it. So it's making pretty shapes in the water. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep going, but we're going to be doing some mixing directly on the canvas. All right. It's pretty good. It's pretty mixed in. I mean, I've got some areas that, but we're going to mix. Let me clean my brush off real quick. We're going to mix some phthalo blue and white. Probably about equal parts. Let me see if I have any white left in here. Yep, there's some. So about equal parts, like about a tube of toothpaste each. And we want to try to get it on there before this completely dries. This is going to go up at the top. I'm just going to wipe this off. I'm not going to try to get that right now. So you get your brush wet, pull it to the side here, like you can get some on there. And then go right up at the top. And we're going to brush these two together. And let them blend. And it's okay if you have some lighter streaks. And I'm just going to pick up some of my blue with my dirty paintbrush and paint right into it. This is the fun experimental part where we can do cool things like blending colors. Blending colors is fun, at least for me. It's very satisfying because everything looks nice and blended. So with the dirty brush, I'm not even cleaning my brush off. I'm just picking up the other color. I do need to get some more water though. Okay. Now, I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to get a little bit more of this light blue. Do it up here, like kind of the pure blue. And then we're going to get a little bit more of our yellow and blend it. And we're going to go ahead and let it blend green this time. I'm going to clean my brush off first. Pick up some of my yellow. And see, it's already kind of making it a little bit green in the well, but that's okay. Brush it on. And see what happens as it starts to pick up. And I'm just letting it kind of dry brush. Oops. And I just got some on my desk, which I don't want. So I'm gonna... Oh, I got some earlier too. Man, gotta be careful. All right, I'm gonna move this farther down on the paper because I do not want to get more on my desk. Okay. Apparently I'm not being very careful up at the top there. All right, I need to blend this right here. So the best way to do that is to pick up some of the blue. So I'm cleaning my brush a little bit. I'm not being really good about cleaning my brush. Pick up some blue, some of that lighter blue, and just blend, blend, blend. Let's see. I kind of want my yellow to be farther down. I'm going to bring my yellow down a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So I'm going to leave that. I noticed that right about here I'm curving a little bit. So I'm going to just clean that up so it doesn't curve, so that it's like a nice diagonal line. Sometimes it's easier because of the angle I'm at to actually look at my OBS window rather than looking at the canvas. Trying to keep that same angle. I don't know why I switched angles. I keep wanting to do a 45-degree angle. I'm going to take just a little bit of pure water. I'm going to get most of it off and draw it across like that. And that just helps kind of re-wet some of the paint that it was almost dry but not quite. But that way I can change my angle. There we go. Much better. Yeah. All right. Okay, so go ahead and clean off your brush all the way. And then dry it off. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this blue that we made here, this ultramarine blue. We're going to mix. I'm just going to do this right here in the yellow. I'm going to make a new yellow. But I'm going to go ahead and mix some red. I think there's enough yellow there. And then I'm going to pick up some blue from my ultramarine blue. Now remember I said the blue is pretty strong, so it's going to kind of take over. But what we should get is brown, because if you mix your three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, you get a brown. Now, it's going to look black, because it's also how you mix black. Or gray, really. It's just a very dark gray. If it's more on the cool side, and because we used ultramarine blue instead of phthalo blue, it's going to be a little more on the cool side, which means that it's going to be more gray. So how you do that is you just make sure that you've got a cooler color as your base. The red and the yellow are warm, but adding a little bit of warm red to a little bit of warm blue makes a cool purple. Go figure. All right, so this is kind of a brownish gray color. I'm gonna just clean this off. I end up going through several paper towels, so FYI, you probably will too. All right. Oh, and I have paint on my hands, so this will come off. It's not permanent on your hands. It will scratch off, but you just have to scrub a little bit. All right, and I'm touching my face, so I probably have paint on my face. That'll be fun later. Okay. So we're going to actually, let's see, I'm going to get my brush wet, pick up some of my gray color here, just like I did the others, where I just come in like on the side and just kind of mix until I get a nice wet paint. And I'm going to do a rock in this corner, and I'm just doing like kind of a squiggly line. It's kind of hard to see, but we're just going to fill this in. I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue and just kind of in some places just blend. That just gives it a little bit of texture. It's not even something you're going to see right away, but trust me, you want a little bit of that. Here, I'll hold it up close. You can actually see the blue in there. So it's not even something you can see from a distance, but it's enough to just add a little bit of something. Just a little something. See, it just gives it some texture. Now, I'm noticing something. On the left side of my canvas, I'm going to wipe my brush. I've noticed that I've got some water pooling, and that's no bueno. Because what ends up happening is it will dry in a funky way. And it will have little ridges. And we don't want that, so I am just going to smooth that out. There we go. All right. Take a drink of water. All right, so now we're going to paint our leaves in the bottom right here. So to make that, first we're going to use some pure ultramarine blue. So I've got a little bit of that left. This is going to be our underpainting. So what we do is we're going to do some leaf shapes. So my farthest one back, I'm going to hold this up so you can see it. So I'm just doing some general leaf shapes. And I'll paint that in. Okay. Let's see, we'll do another one. I'm going to do one here. I'm going to do another one kind of going off the page. And let's see. I'm starting to run out of the blue, so I'm going to probably have to make some more here. I'll do another little one here. And at a certain point, you're not going to be able to see the difference. Like, they're just going to be painting over each other. Especially you guys here. I can see the difference here because of the light. If I hold it up, you can see like that I've got all my different layers. And then we're going to do one here in the front. So we'll do one here in the front. Hold that up so you can see it. You can see, barely see it, but there's that one there in the front. And then, let's see, I'm going to do, I'm out of blue. So I'm going to make some more. Not a ton more, though, because we're not going to be using a ton more of the blue. So, but remember, this was ultramarine. So we've got to mix a little bit of red in there. Now, I didn't use as much blue as I did last time. So I'm not going to get as much red on here. Just a little bit. Just enough to make it like an indigo. Ultramarine's kind of an indigo color. Just a little on the purple side. Okay. So instead of trying to use what's on my palette knife, I'm going to wipe that off. Because I didn't let all of the red mix in, and I don't want to have just pure red on there. Alright, so get a little bit of water. Get some of that. And then I'm going to do a little guy over here. There we go. So, I did, just so you can see, I did one in the back here, one on top of that, one over here. I did another one like in the front here. It's hard to see, but I did one there. I did another one here in the front, and then this little guy over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 leaves. All right. Now, we want to put some green on there. So we're going to have several shades of green. So what we're going to do, let's see. How do we want to do this? Actually, you know what? Hold on. Hang on. Hang on. Before we get too crazy. Yeah. Nope. I'm good. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was doing. I like got kind of lost in where I was going with that. But so we're going to do yellow. We're going to mix 3 shades of green. So we're going to get a little bit there. And then take a little bit of that and put it there. So I have the most yellow here, a little bit less yellow here, and the least amount of yellow there. Then we're going to mix our blue in there. There it is. So I'm just going to put pure blue over here. I guess I should wipe this off so I don't contaminate my blue. And I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to put the most amount of blue here. The next most there. And the tiniest amount here. I'm going to just go ahead and mix this one. So this one's going to be our lightest. Okay. This one is going to be our next. Kind of our middle green. Oops. And finally, our last one is going to be our darkest. This should end up being a little bit like a teal. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off. Probably time to get a new paper towel, wouldn't you say? I'm going to throw that away and get a new one. I'm just going to set that to the side. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So we've got 3 different shades of green. We're going to get our brush wet first and pick up our darkest shade first. I'm doing the thing where I pick it up, mix a little bit of the water in there. All right, this one in the back was first, so I'm gonna mix that first. I'll hold that up so you can see that a little better. Okay. Next was this one here. Then there was this guy. Man, this light is not. Let me see if I can. Nope, that didn't help. All right, well, I'll just keep holding it up. I'll just keep holding it up, no problem. I'll get this little guy here. It goes off the page. We've got this guy here in the front. And then our last one is here on the side. Okay, so got my 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ta-da. All right, now I'm not gonna clean my brush. I'm just gonna go, well, I do need to get a little bit of water, but I'm just gonna pick up the next color and immediately start to go into it. Now I'm not gonna go all the way down. So this one, I'm just going to let it kind of, if you see, like I just kind of stop. See, I don't paint all the way down. I just kind of let my brush stop a little bit. And that one got a little bit of yellow in there. I'm going to leave that. I kind of like it. I'm just let that be. All right. And then last, we're going to do the same thing again. Now, I do have a little bit extra paint on there, so I'm going to get that off. But I'm going to get a little bit of water. I'm going to come in, pick up some of my light color, and then even less. In fact, I'm not even going to hit this guy in the back. Well, maybe just a little bit. Just, we're hardly doing the top. Or we're only doing the top, rather. This guy is going to get a little bit more because he's kind of the one at the very top, so he's catching the most light. And I'm just letting my brush like go to the side, so where it's like straight up and down almost. And so that's how I get those strokes in there. I'm just coming in and going over again just to make sure that I've got like enough highlights. I think these guys have enough highlights. I think they're fine. Okay. Let's let that come down a little bit. Okay. I'm going to come in with my dry brush and just blend just a little bit down here at the bottom, so it's not quite as stark of a difference. There we go. Gives it depth, like it looks like it's going down into you know, that they're layered, but it's still you know, still dark. All right, so now we're going to use our small brush. Now we haven't gotten our small brush wet yet, so we're going to do the same thing that we did before. You may or may not be able to see the bubbles. Oh, I'm still seeing some bubbles just because the water is so dark. But just back and forth, you want to make sure you get all the bubbles out. All right. And we are going to do some like little fan things over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my dark green. And what I'm going to do is basically make little poof balls. So just lots of little lines that go in kind of circles. I'll hold this up so you can see it. So see, I'm just going lots of little lines that just go in like a circle. So I'll do another one like here. Like that, see? So I'm just going to keep going. And do some that come off the page, so maybe we only see the top part of the circle. That might layer over each other. Don't forget to get a little water if it's starting to dry brush so that it goes on smoothly. And I would do, let's see, there's about 9 in the picture, 9 or 10. Now these do actually go over this plant here, which I don't know how dry it is. So make sure that you have a decent amount of water so it'll glide over the top of that sticky paint. Yeah, see, it wasn't totally dry. So you want to make sure there's a good amount of water on there. And then there's another guy down here. Okay. Now I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did before. I might clean off my brush just a little bit and pick up some of this middle color. And then I'm going to go over and just do my circles again. See, I got one going off the page here. Another one here. Oop, I need a little more water. All right, clean my brush off again and pick up my light color. Now, we're going to do a little something with these that we didn't do before. We're going to add a little yellow. So I'm not doing it yet. I'm going to let them dry just a tiny bit because I want the yellow to blend, but I don't want it to blend too much. All right. So I'm going to clean off my brush and put a little bit of pure yellow in my well. Oops, that was more yellow than I needed, but you know what? We're going to be using yellow in the fish, so it's not a problem. All right, so I want these to dry a little bit, so we're going to wait. These aren't quite dry yet. We can go ahead and, let's see, we can go ahead and mix the color for our fish. All right, here's what we're gonna do. So I'm going to mix a little bit of red, a little bit of white. Let's see if I have any left. Let's see if I can make this happen. Now I'm going to put my white in a separate container. Ooh, I'm getting low, but I still have some. I might be able to last because next week we're doing a watercolor. So, and I think I'm supposed to get my titanium white next week. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the brown, the brownish gray from the rocks. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to mix this in here since I've been using up all my wells. So I want some red. And I'm going to wipe this off so I don't contaminate my colors. Want some white. Oops. And I contaminated my colors, but that's okay. It's not very much. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of this grayish brown color, and we're going to mix this. It should end up being kind of a weird mauve-ish pink. It looks a little orange on the camera. In person, it looks pink. I'm gonna have to figure out how to adjust the colors on that camera. Okay. All right. So these should be dry enough, at least tacky, where we can come in with yellow. And I will get my brush just a tiny bit wet, but I'm not gonna get too much water. All right, and I do want it to blend a little bit, but not much. So I want some of my yellow to be showing. This gives it interesting highlights. And then last little guy here. There you go. So we've got some interesting foliage down here on the bottom. All right. Now we get to the fish. And I'm particularly excited. Everything should be dry up here. These are still a little bit tacky, my leaves. So I'm going to be kind of careful because the tail of the fish is going to come down over these leaves. So I'm going to be careful with that. But get some water. And we're going to pick up a little bit of this pink. Okay. You want this to be fluid. This is important. So, you know, if you need a little extra water, that's fine, because this is where we're going to draw the outline of our fish. Now, So what I like to do is I'm going to figure out the points that I want it to be. So I'm going to put one like here. It's going to be like the top part of my fish. And let's see, that is probably about 1.5 inches down from the top of the page, maybe 2 inches over. I want the top of my fish, like where the fin starts, to be about here. And let's see, that's probably about 2.5 inches from the right and about 2.5 inches down, honestly, maybe 2. Maybe 2. I don't know. I'm not really actually very good at, I'm better at like, I can cite things. I'm not good at saying, oh yeah, that's 5 inches or whatever. I'm not good at that. I'm just good at like figuring out, because I'm using the reference photo. And this is why it's important to use a reference photo, because you can see like, okay, I can see that's approximately here on the page. So I'm going to do my first line. It's going to curve in and then up. All right, and then my next line is going to be here. Yeah, about there. And I'm just going to bring that down. All right, now I can already tell that it's starting to lose some of its liquidity. You can see here where it skipped a little bit. So we're just going to fix that. All right, so I've got a couple of things going on here. I've got a fin there. And then I've got one that comes here. I'm just doing like little arches. Let's see, this guy is going to come down to about here. Like that. All right. The good news is that the rest of it should be pretty easy to figure out. Pick up a little bit more. Let's see. I'm just doing shapes right now. I'm just looking at the reference photo and making some shapes that look like the reference photo. And then let's see. So this here curves in, and then it's got this little, his little jaw or whatever. There. And you can see I messed up a little bit. That's okay, because we're going to be painting over this. Now, if you messed up on the outside, like let's say I didn't want that line to be there, while it's still wet, you got to catch it while it's still wet. Check this out. Get some water. Okay. Clean it. Okay, then I go in and just dab. It's not perfect, but it's better than having like a line you didn't want there. All right, now I did want that line there, so I'm gonna put it back, but I wanted you to see what you needed to do if for some reason you needed to delete a line, you know, because there's no undo in So you just got to try to get it really fast. All right. All right, now I've got a little guy over here that I need to paint. There. And then I need to paint the top. Now I'm not liking the shape of this, so hang on. There's something funky. There's something funky that happened here. This needs to come out a little bit more. And then maybe less of a curve. Let's try that. Yeah, I'm liking that. So I'm just going to fill this in so I don't get confused. Okay. Now for the back fin, starting about here, I'm gonna curve back, and then we're just gonna do a wavy line coming up. I think maybe I got my fishy proportions a little off, but that's all right. It happens. This is a very cartoony kind of fish anyway to begin with. Let's see. And the good news is that this is all going to get painted over. So, you know, maybe this doesn't even come all the way up. Maybe this comes down like that. I don't know why I just cleaned my brush. I didn't need to. All right. So now we're going to paint where the eye is. So we're going to start with the circle in the middle. And then we are going to carefully do this circle that goes around the outside, the actual outside of the eye. Like that. We've got like I told you at the beginning, my stuff a lot of times does not look like the reference photo, but it always ends up looking okay. So I'm not too terribly concerned about it. You should not be either. We're just getting the base down. Here's the thing about when you're painting, whatever it looks like in the middle, don't worry. Everything's going to get covered up and it's going to look fantastic. Trust me. It always does. All right. So what we're going to do to, let's see. Let's paint over I think the eye. What we're going to do, we're going to use this dark color that we have from before. I think I'm going to use that for the eye. Mine still had a little bit of that purple on it, but that's okay. Because fish have like this weird redishness sometimes to their eye, so it's going to actually end up looking okay. I'm just being very gentle with my pressure, trying not to press too hard so that I get the evenness of the stroke. Welcome if you're just joining the stream. I just noticed that there were more viewers. I apologize for not welcoming you earlier. We're doing a goldfish today, and we'll see how the goldfish turns out. So far, the background's looking great. Our landscape, or seascape rather, is looking fantastic. So we'll see how the goldfish does. Okay. Hold on, gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Only one. What's that about? All right. I'm going to take a little bit of white just to place where I want these to go. And I'm going to go ahead and put some bubbles. I'm just doing the circles. And I've got a little one going like off the page. There. Done. We're not messing with that just yet. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to mix some red and yellow. We're going to make our orange color. I've got a lot of this pink here. I don't think I'm going to be able to use it though for anything. So I don't know. We'll see. I hate wasting color like that, but I think I thought I was going to use more than I did. Oh well, it happens. But I have a feeling I'm going to need like a decent amount. Hold on. I just wiped that off. But I think I'm going to need a decent amount of this orange. Because think about it, you know, the whole thing is kind of orange. So what we're doing is we're making the orange for the goldfish. So I'm picking up some red and I'm going to just mix that in. Oops. It's like wanting to go over the side there. All right. So we've got this orange here. And I actually don't mind if there's like a little bit of red and yellow variation in it, because that's going to make it look really interesting. I'm going to take the color off of here. And then just kind of mix it in. So you use up a little bit of that color. Okay. Make sure there's a little bit more water. And then we're going to do our fins. So you just paint right over the fins. And I'm going to make sure my brush strokes actually go out towards the fin so it keeps that fin. This is similar last night if you were here for the drawing class where we drew koi. You want to keep your direction going a certain way. Okay. And we're going to actually do like kind of the top of the fish here. Oops. See, there's not enough water. You can see it's starting to dry brush. So you just pick up a little bit more water, so it goes more smoothly. It's starting to dry brush again. Let me see if I had enough water on there. I might have. Yeah. I'm not going to go all the way down, just a little bit. All right. Actually, you know what? JK, we are going to do more of the fin down here. We are. What I'm going to do is this. Oops, that was a lot of paint. I accidentally picked up way too much paint on my brush. So I'm trying to smooth it out, but remember how I said you don't want to get too close to this part here? I'm probably going to need to wash my brush, even though I'm not ready to change colors yet. So I do not want to get that up into the top of the brush. I'm trying to get as much off as I can. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to bring a little bit of yellow into this. And it should blend because it's still wet. And it's okay if you get these edges. See how I've got these like lighter yellow edges? That actually just makes it look more interesting. Get a little bit of water. So yellow is a very transparent color, which means that when you try to blend it with things, it blends well, but it's better sometimes to just go ahead and pre-mix your color because it doesn't always do what you want it to do. You get these weird striations because of it. So I don't mind so much, but I'm just, you know, you might want to keep that in mind. All right. Now, up here, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to get a little water off. And I'm going to pick up this darker color and just blend it here. There we go. It doesn't look like that to you guys. I'm realizing now that you guys can't really see. So hold on. Oops, stuck to the paper. And you still can't really see, but right here it's blended a little bit. Yeah, the lighting's not ideal. It's very bright, but it's what I've got. So okay, let's go ahead and get the color on these fins here. Oops, need a little water. And again, try to keep with the same brush stroke, with the same direction. And we'll do this guy here. And I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow. I'm going to blend. I'm just going to pick it up with my brush that's still wet. You know, fish are like one of the few animals I don't know a ton about. I know a lot about a lot of different animals. And for some reason, I don't know. Fish have never really just caught me. Despite the fact that for many, many years when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Like many years, like 10 years. I went all the way into high school thinking I was going to be a marine biologist. And I took, so I'm from South Carolina, and they have like a governor's school, and they have one for academics, and I went to that one, and I actually took marine biology there and loved it, you know. Got really good at doing scientific drawings, you know, where I found actual specimens and then drew them and labeled them. And but I took an anthropology class at the same time, and I fell in love. Anthropology is amazing. I like studying people. I like talking to people. And it just fit me a little bit better. So I ended up double majoring in art and anthropology when I went to college, and dropped the marine biology. So never did it. I am a diver though, so I still like to go and dive and see fish. And see, you know, different kinds of sea creatures. I'm really more interested in other kinds of sea creatures. I do like sharks, however. I will say that I do like sharkfish. But like these kind of fish, like tropical fish and stuff like that, meh. Not impressive to me. I mean, they're pretty, but it's like nice to look at. But they're not really very interesting to me. I'm sure to some people they're very interesting. All right, so this is a little bit more dry. So what I'm going to do is bring my yellow in here. I'm just coming in with my brush and doing stripes. Now there needs to be more water there. More water. So that it's smoother. You gotta wait for it to dry a little bit to be able to do this. Crixano, hey, what's the difference between anthropology and sociology? Well, anthropology is the study of culture, and sociology is the study of society. And that sounds like it might be the same, but or it might be similar. But anthropology more is interested in how it's practiced and how it's been practiced over history, like how that plays into the society. That's actually a really good question, because I don't even know if I explained that well. It's one of those I know it when I see it. But let me think about that for a minute. Let me think if I can give you a better answer, because I don't feel like that was a very good answer. I'm just getting a little bit more water. My yellow is getting a little muddy, and that's okay. You know who I hope... Oh, you got here late? Well, no problem. No problem at all. I appreciate you showing up. Thank you very much. Today's a pretty relaxed day. I went and had a nice walk today with a friend. We did practice our social distancing, but we went and walked around her neighborhood. She's got a pretty nice neighborhood, so. Because I walk here in my neighborhood. I've got, I live out in the country, so it's kind of nice. You know, I don't get bothered by anybody or whatever. There's nothing around. But it's nice to see friends. It's been a very lonely time, you know. You know? All right, I'm going to get some more yellow. And we're going to do some lines here. Don't worry too much about your ends, because we're going to be doing something else with those. We're going to be mixing a little white. Okay. Now, I need to do something about this here. So, because I forgot to do the blending, you know, and actually even, gosh, this guy didn't get anything. Let's just add some color to this guy down here. I'm still thinking about your anthropology sociology question. I have not forgotten. I'm just trying to figure out how to best answer it, because I would say it's probably a fine point. You know, anthropology also includes archaeology, but that's not really a good answer, because, you know, there's social anthropology, cultural anthropology. That's what I studied. There's physical anthropology. That's the archaeology bit. But also the study of like how humans have developed over time. For example, interesting things I learned in physical anthropology was the development of the brain, and coincidentally, but no, it coincided. That was right, I think. Anyway, religion developed at the same time as certain parts of our brain that were responsible for creativity and foresight, you know, being able to predict our own death. All of a sudden, things like religion became kind of important. So that's very interesting. It's very interesting to see how something like religion developed, you know. So my focus was actually anthropology of religion, specifically. I studied, now I was focused on cultural, not physical. But I studied Zen Buddhism and Catholicism. And you might think, wow, those are really different. They're really not at all. They're both extremely ritualistic. They both come from fairly rigid cultures that are patriarchal. And they there's a preciseness to it because they're so ritualistic. Like, you really have to follow it. You really have to grow up in it and be a part of the dogma. And I thought that was really interesting. So, forensic anthropology, yes, and I have watched all of Bones. I really enjoy that show as well. It's good. Okay, I noticed that this up here is not looking so hot. That's okay. We're gonna actually blend using this orange. I'm gonna blend this down. I'm gonna blend it down. Oops, it's getting a little dry there. It's a little dry. We need to just add a little water. Okay, close enough. I'm not like... We're going to go back in with our yellow. Interesting, you were considering double majoring in theology, but you don't have enough time. Got to it late, so you were going to do a minor. That's good. You know, if you feel drawn to something, there's no reason. Like, I minored in psychology, even though I ended up nixing the cultural anthropology, the anthropology of religion. I ended up nixing that because it was too much work. It was a lot. And I just went full-fledged and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in textiles. And then, but I did minor in psychology because I love psychology. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want to use the rest of this dark orange here for my top. I'm going to kind of... I'm just going to get all in here. And I just painted right over my eye. So I'm going to fix that. Remember earlier I said if you accidentally painted over something, just dry it off a little bit, but where it's still a little wet. As long as you catch it while it's still wet, you're good. All right, so we've got this line here. I'm going to just paint over that. And let's go around our eye. Now I'm going to narrow it just a little bit. Biblical theology track focuses on the scriptures. That's very interesting. So I've always been interested in Christianity because I was raised Christian, but it just got a little overwhelming for me. I've got some other stuff that goes on that makes it, well, let's just say it makes going to church a very interesting experience that I don't want to experience all the time. I can only handle it sometimes. So I just get very overwhelmed in a church setting. Now, Catholicism didn't bother me that much, but that's because it's very somber. And I mean, it's a very, somber experience. I used to go to the 7 a.m. mass, and at the university cathedral, and man, it was just everybody was very serious and and probably they weren't awake yet. They hadn't had their coffee or whatever. I'm sure there was some aspect of that. Okay. Hey, Flex, how you doing? We are almost finished getting the main parts of our fish down here. Let's see. I'm gonna we've been discussing anthropology and theology and all kinds of fun stuff. So Crixano, I've gotten more into Judaism very recently. I've always been interested in religions. I've looked at and experimented with many different religions in the past, including Wicca, which is why I knew about the grounding visualization thing in the book you told me about. Oh, yeah. Flux, you're doing great, but it's late, so just watching. Cool, cool. Well, I appreciate you joining. Thank you. I'm picking up a little bit of yellow, and I'm just going to bring it in here to right in the kind of the roof of the mouth area. You don't believe in any religion? Yeah, I don't either. I just like studying it. I think it's really fascinating. I think it's really fascinating, like how much religion can really impact not only people's lives, but entire cultures, you know? Like, so I studied Catholicism was one of the religions I studied, right? And there's very much, like, if you look at, say, like Irish culture, for example, very strong Catholics. At the same time, they also, you know, some people still put out milk and honey for the little people, you know, like the fairy. So it's an interesting mix, and like how new religions meld with like old religions. And you're half Irish. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. It's very interesting. It's interesting, like, how much it is a part of our culture. Like, despite the fact that I don't have a religion, I still very much, you know, adhere to certain things that come from my Christian upbringing. And I was about the same. You said that since you were 7, that was about the time when I started really like questioning, like, what is this stuff? You know, like, I don't know about all this. So we're the same there. That was about the same age. You're not sure if you believe in a religion, but you like learning about them, Crixano. Yeah, but perhaps you don't have to believe in a religion to get its benefits. Yeah, actually, that's not a bad point. So, I'm the kind of person that no matter what, I try to learn something, you know, like, so if I go to, let's say I go to some rally for some political person that I don't particularly follow, I'm still going to learn something, right? You know, you're still going to learn, something you didn't know before, even if it's just more about that particular political candidate or whatever, you know, I mean, so that I look at church or religious practices the same way. Like I attend with friends a lot of times. I don't usually just go by myself. I attend with friends, and I just learn what I can learn. You never know what you're going to learn, right? You were raised Catholic, was forced to go to church. Yeah. Till you could shout louder than your dad. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. That's important. You got to be able to tell your parents no. That's a hard thing to do, you know. Okay, what are we doing next? I want to get some white in here. So I want to make kind of a gray color. So I'm going to actually use this pink because I really want to use this up. I don't like the fact that there's all of this here. So I'm going to use a little bit of this, a little bit of white, and mix that. We're going to make kind of like a weirdish gray color. And I'm going to mix some of this dark in. 35 years later, still trying to convert you. Ha! Yeah, I mean, parents do that. My mom always tells me that she prays for me and stuff like that. I mean, you know, at least it tells you that they care, right? I mean, because if they didn't, they'd be like, whatever. Although, you know, sometimes it's part of the religion to care. You know, that they're supposed to convert people. So, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more that they care, right? You know, they want to make sure that our souls are saved. So that means that they want something good to happen to us, right? Okay. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of this gray color just to muddy that up. Make that kind of a blah color. I really wanted to use that pink because I hate leaving that much paint. So Crixano says, the biblical theology track is related to a lot of your interests, including linguistics and literature. There could probably be some computation, like optical character recognition and analyzing language, that could help out with all of those too. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Well, here's the thing. So this is what I like about programming and why I'm trying to, get into the field. Because, I don't want to be a professional programmer, but I think that it's something that for someone who is intelligent and enjoys doing a lot of different things, I think programming can tie a lot of things together because you can do cool stuff with it, right? You can make things. At least that's what I want to do. So I want to make things. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think that you could definitely tie in a lot of that stuff. Flux. I will do religious things if friends or family ask. So, your godfather. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, none of my friends would probably ever choose me as a godmother. I am technically the godmother of my nephew, but it's just in name. It's just like if something happens to my sister and brother-in-law, I get him, but it's not really like the religious experience. All right, I'm going to paint the belly here. But yeah, I'm the same. If friends ask me, I'll participate. I mean, what? I don't have anything to lose. And my friends know better than to try to convince me to join or anything like that. They know better. So how old's your godson or daughter? Because that's an interesting role for someone who's not religious. I haven't actually been to a Hindu wedding, but I've seen videos of them and things, and they look pretty fun. I think they go on for days, don't they? They're very long events. He's 15. Aww. Well, that's cool. Are y'all close? He chose me when he was 13, when he chose his path. Ah, cool. Very cool. Yeah. Well, that's cool that you did that, I think that's, especially with a kid that's young and impressionable, that says a lot that he respects you. So that's a pretty cool thing. Okay. So I'm trying to get all this color down here. And let's see. This is a very odd color. I'm not sure if I really should have mixed this in, but whatever. It is what it is. It's happening. We're going to make it work. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and just go straight in here. Just because I want this fin to be lighter so I can see it. Crixano, there are religions that aren't proselytic. I believe that's the word, where they don't proselytize. Yeah. I believe, from what I've read, Judaism is one such religion. I think so. I don't think that they do. I don't think that's part of the religion, is proselytizing. I want to say that was more, that came later. Round 2, which is called Christianity. Okay. There's a little gnat or something that's getting down in my paint, and he's about to be in for a surprise because he's going to get stuck. And I don't really want that. I mean, I'm not a fan of gnats, but I don't want him to die or anything, you know. Okay. So let's see. So now we're going to do like kind of little U shapes. I'm just going to brush it on back and forth like that. And get a little water. In Orthodox, sorry, Flux. He needs me. I'm the guy who talks straight to him. Yeah, actually, you know, that's like an extremely valuable person. I was telling my sister yesterday that that's kind of her role for me. My sister like talks straight to me and kind of snaps me out of whatever delusion I'm in usually. Now, you know, sometimes we're close. So sometimes I see things in a different way, and, you know, I don't always listen. But she's good. She's good at saying, you know, here's reality, and maybe you should take a look at that. And usually I do. Like I said, it's only when I have a vision that it's just hard to share. This is a problem kind of like with artists, right? Is that, you know, we get a vision in our head, and sometimes that's hard to relay to other people, you know. All right, this is all very purple. So I'm going to mix in some white. Let's see, let's get a little water. Let's get a little water. There we go. I'm just doing these little kind of cross hatches. Crixano says, in Orthodox Judaism, it's much harder to convert. Yes, you have to, I think, prove lineage. Like, you have to prove that, like, your mom or grandmother or whatever, somewhere in your matriarchal line was Jewish, I'm pretty sure. In Flux, I only have basic understanding of other religions other than Catholic. I studied the sciences, mainly chemistry. Chemistry, cool. I also, for a little bit, considered, this was in high school, considered being a chemical engineer. I took chemistry, you know, in high school, just like, you know, you do. And I just thought it was fantastic. I just was over the moon about how awesome chemistry was. So I really loved math, so I thought, well, I'll do chemical engineering. But again, anthropology won out, and art. I don't even know where the art came from. I never took art in high school or anything like that. I mean, I was always into art, and I always did it, but I didn't take any formal classes or anything until college. I was pretty much self-taught. Sorry, to clarify, the other sects of Judaism allow conversion. Do they? Because I thought that all of them were kind of strict about it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't really studied too much of Judaism. So I'm adding in white, just so you guys know what I'm doing. I'm just adding in white because that was just like a really stark color. And it was not what I wanted. Because we're going to be adding yellow to this. I'm actually not real sure how this goldfish is going to turn out. We're gonna. I'm reserving my thoughts on it until it's finished because I don't know. So far, I'm feeling kind of questioning about whether it's going to be successful or not. We'll see. We'll see. It's entirely possible this could be one of the ones. I don't do that many, but every once in a while I catch one that I'm just like, it just doesn't look good. It happens. And if it happens to me, it can definitely happen to you, you know? Okay. You have to go through the process of learning. Oh, wait, hold on. You were environmental chemist for 10 years. Ah, that's pretty cool. Environmental chemistry is actually one of the things I would probably be interested in. Because I'm quite the tree hugger. All right, I just painted over this fin. Screw it. I'm painting over the fin. It's happening. And I'll just paint it in. I can't be trying to go around that. That was not cool. All right. This orange is dead. I don't think, oh, no, I was able to get a little bit of it. All right. I'm going to just kind of blend some of this in up here. Okay, Crixano. You have to go through the process of learning Hebrew and history of Judaism and practices. You have to be taught by a rabbi. Okay, yeah, they allow conversion. I think a lot of Orthodox Jews do too, actually. Oh, I feel bad. I keep putting my messages after Flex's, and his messages can get skipped. Well, I'm trying to read both. Luckily, your names are different colors. That really helps significantly. Because I would probably get lost if they weren't. Every once in a while, I'll be like on somebody's stream and like on John's, for example, you know, John Blow, if you don't know who that is. He's a game developer, and I watch his stream sometimes, and it is, it gets going really fast, and I just don't even know how he keeps up with it, honestly. I cannot. I'm glad, actually, that I don't have all that many viewers because I don't know how I could keep up with that many. It's a lot. There's another game dev that I watched, Schwa Dev, and he also, you know, will get quite a bit of people talking in his stream. All right. So all I was doing here is just blending in some of the orange here. I'm trying to make it look kind of choppy. Okay, now. Let me focus really quick on what I'm doing because paint dries and I don't want it to dry too much. We've got to get this fin in here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a little bit of my dark color. And I'm going to paint the shape. Just very carefully. I'm hardly using any pressure. And there we go. Got the outline. All right. Now I'm going to come in with some white. There we go. There we go. This is where direction of the brush strokes can really help. Okay. To convert, you also have to be sincere and be circumcised. Ha ha ha! Flex, you're funny. No chance of that. Yeah, that's a little harder to do later in life, you know. I mean, you can, but I imagine it's pretty painful. And as a baby, you know, you don't remember that stuff. But yeah, as an adult, you know, probably keep all sharp objects away from that area. Crixano, there's a thing in the Talmud I think, where they deny you the first 3 times you ask to convert to make sure you are sincere and persistent about the conversion. This is some of my beef with religion, this ritual thing where it's like, now, I mean, they do it, there's a purpose. The purpose of ritual is to reinforce an idea or an ideology. So it works. I mean, that's why these religions are still around, you know, because they have really good rituals that work well within the cultures that they're in. But I'm not a big fan of ritual, like in general. I'm not a fan of tradition or ritual or any of that. You know, I'm too much of a free thinker. So let's see. Not sure everyone does that anymore. And then Flex said, what's the Talmud? Isn't that like the, no, hold on. I'm thinking of, oh Lord. Yeah, you know what, Crixano? I'm gonna let you explain this because I'm not coming up with that. Catholics, Hindus, and Muslims. Where are you again? Are you in England? Let's see, because there's slightly. Remind me, because I don't want to be. Okay, England, yeah, Nottingham. Because there's slightly different views on it in different Judaism sects. Well, just do your best. Explain to us, Crixano. Teach us. Let's learn. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of this purple, and I'm going to do some little hash marks up here in the top of the fish. You know what? I'm going to mix a little bit of white with it. Hold on. I'm going to take a little bit of this purple and mix a little bit of white and get like kind of a grayish color. There we go. All right. I probably need another paper towel here. Look at this. Look at that. Yeah. Let's get another one. Let's get a new one. Okay. We're about to learn about Judaism, I think, right, Crixano? Are you, since you're not, since you came in late, I'm assuming you're not doing the painting, or are you? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some little dashes. Man. Yeah, that's good. Little dashes. Let's see. These are just like scales, basically, but we're... Okay. My area was very multicultural. Indians, Pakistani, Irish, Jamaicans, and Bengals. And some Polish, too. Love the Polish. I'm Polish, if you can't tell. But I did find out that there's a good chunk of me that's also English when I did my ancestry stuff. A lot more than I thought. So, you know, there's that. All right. Okay. Hi, Fal Kawaii YouTube 1 2 3 4. Is that what the YT is for? or just Val Quiet. I don't know. I'm not good with screen names, man. That's like my worst thing. It's so funny because like some of the guys that I watch, they'll pronounce screen names like it's nothing, you know. And maybe some of it is just like a culture thing, because you know there's like a lot of like techies, for example, will pick screen names that are related to something that I might not know anything about. You know, I'm fairly new to everything, so I'm going to fill in my bubbles at the top with some white. And welcome to the stream, by the way. We are very casual here, just painting, learning some techniques, painting a fish. And having a discussion about cultural, like religion and culture. That's what's going on right now in chat. So, all right. So there's the Mishnah, which are small statements created by rabbis probably after most of the Bible, Old Jewish Testament, has been written and set. They're sort of like arguments about different interpretations and beliefs and practices. Judaism is very argumentative, and you can see this in the Jewish Testament itself. Okay. So the Talmud expands on the Mishnah. It contains the Mishnah and the Gemara. Oh my gosh, you really do know a lot about this. I don't know if I'm saying Gemara right. So now, about how the different sects view the Talmud. Oh, wow. Well, it's good that you guys Googled it, because I don't know any of this. So you guys can school me a little bit. All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to mix a new orange color that's mostly yellow, but a little bit of red. So I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of my red. Tiny bit. I mean, like, there we go. We'll mix that in. Oops, sorry, I'm not doing this where you guys can see. Oops. So I want this to be mostly yellow. But remember how I said the yellow is kind of transparent? Well, unfortunately, that's the case. I mean, you could see that down here. But if you mix in just a little bit of a color, it doesn't matter. It could be white, it could be red, it could be blue, whatever. Just a little bit of a color, it all of a sudden becomes incredibly less transparent, and you can start actually seeing it. So we're going to use this color here. And we're going to start covering this area that we did. And because we did it with that purple color, it's going to tone it a little bit. It's going to tone it so that it doesn't... I'm trying to keep it wet. Going to tone it so that it's like a little bit more neutral than the bright yellow. Okay. I actually want a tiny bit of yellow before that totally dries. I need to get some yellow down. Just a tiny bit. I don't need much. But I want this right here, this area right here, to have some more pure yellow. So I'm just going to blend that in. Not much, but just a little. There we go. There we go. Okay, and just so you guys know, I'm not ignoring you. I mean, I sort of am ignoring you, but I'm going to be reading what you're saying next. I just need to get this down while everything's drying. I really need some more of this kind of reddish. I might need to make some more of that reddish orange color. I just mixed it right on my palette, if you're wondering what just happened. I just used my brush. I did not get out a palette knife. I just used my brush and just mixed. Okay. Orthodoxy views it as the oral Torah. So before the Mishnah and the Talmud were written down, they were believed to be passed down orally. So the Talmud are different oral traditions being written down, which is why not everything coincides or matches in it. Reform Jews, I believe, don't view it as the oral Torah, but they still think that you can learn from it. And this isn't even getting to the interpretations of the Talmud itself, LOL. The most popular are Rashi and Eben Ezra, is that how you say that? And a few others. Interesting. Schmuckleberry, hey, welcome. Where are you from? Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, wow, you were very specific, Crixano. Midlanders. That's very interesting. And there's two different versions of the Talmud, huh? Okay, so let's get this orange color, and I'm going to keep this orangish yellow, and I'm going to keep going over everything and covering this area down here. And as I go, I'm going to highlight it. So that means I'm going to have to keep kind of washing off my brush. Okay. And I've got some area up here that I want to I'm not covering these. It looks like I am, but I can still see them. I'm just getting like kind of a base down before I go, and I'm going to be putting bright yellow over those. Right now what we're doing is we're just kind of blending this so that it all looks like one color, you know, like one fish, rather than just like a bunch of different little sections. So let's see, I'm going to paint this down here, and this is going to flow into this because this sky is in the front here. And I'm going to, let's see, I need a little water. I'm going to bring in some bright yellow in this section, some pure yellow. So I've got pure yellow here. And I'm just being kind of sloppy about it. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to do some pure yellow here. Especially since we want it to kind of look scaly. right, so now we're gonna do, remember we did these kind of scaly bits in here? So we're gonna, I'm painting over them, but I can still see them. Just to get this kind of orangish color down. And then what I'm gonna do is come in with some yellow. More yellow. And again, I'm trying to give this kind of a scaly look, so I'm letting my brush stroke be very uneven and choppy. You're just joining us, we are doing acrylic painting. And we're doing goldfish today. All right. So I'm gonna start painting over my little scales at the top here. And I'm gonna come from both sides because my brush stroke happens to be very choppy, but going like in one direction. So I'm trying to keep it so that it looks uniform throughout. Get a little water. That words that look difficult to pronounce, Migralot, Gedalot, I told you about, is a book that contains the Torah, Mishnah, and commentaries like Ibn Ezra and, or Ibn Ezra and Rashi. Interesting. Kind of like a complete guide to Judaism. Very interesting. Okay. This is like way brighter than I really want it to be. So I'm going to come in with my dark color, which has dried. And I'm going to just kind of cut in some of these. This is just like super, super bright. This is not how bright I want that to be. All right. Now, let's see. Let's get some of this dark color in here. I just needed to tone that down a little bit. Mikra ot gedolat. Gedolat. Okay. Very cool. I'm going to try to come in here and get some like kind of lines of this, the darker orange, since I'm got that going on, and clean up some of the areas. I still have to do this fin. I have not forgotten about you, little fin, but I want to get some of these darker areas. Let's see. So this has like kind of a gills. This must be like the, no, that can't be the gills. These are the gills. I don't know. I don't know what this is. I told you I didn't really know fish that well. And I mean, I did scientific drawings of fish, but it was so long ago. I don't remember. I don't remember. So right now I'm just trying to kind of make this look a little more natural than it is. There we go. We'll just mix in some yellow. When all else fails, mix in a little yellow, you know. I don't even know what this area is. Look what just happened. But I can catch it. And it's just water. It's colored water, but it is still water. Okay. How are we looking here? Not great, IMO. Not great. So we're going to try to blend some stuff here. Oh, you know what? I do need to... This eye is looking kind of creepy. So I'm going to get a little bit of white in here. Night all. Nice meeting you, Chris. Nice art. Have a good night, Flux. Thank you so much for dropping by. I really appreciate you watching. I know it's late there. So thank you. Okay. Now I'm just blending things. I'm just going to blend. Let's see. Where else? Where else needs to be blended? I'm going to put a little bit of this color at the top of the white in here. I'm just covering up a little bit of the eye because it's looking like a really dark black. And that's fine, but I don't want it to be quite that dark. So I'm just playing with it a little bit. I am going to bring in a little more white and blend some of the colors at the top. I added a little red and a little orange because it's like reflecting the color of the goldfish, and I just covered over it, so we're going to add that back. I'm getting myself on a new schedule because hopefully very soon I will be moving out to the west coast of the US, and So I'm getting myself onto Pacific time. But it stinks. The eating schedule is what really stinks right now. Sleeping I'm fine because I stay up too late anyway. But the eating schedule, like my stomach is growling a lot right now. Not happy that I'm not eating until later. Not at all. Oh, I see. Man, I don't know why I'm struggling with this eye so much. Probably because white is also transparent, similar to the yellow, and so it's kind of a pain. All right, we're almost done here. All right. The Talmud, I would imagine it is humongous if it's like, you know, everybody's words over time. Isn't Judaism like the oldest religion or something? So I'm mixing a little bit of white with my dark green here to give myself like a kind of this light blue, this kind of a tealish blue. And I'm going to go ahead and outline the bubbles. Take a little bit of white and I'm just going to blend it. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hang on. Well, I'm just going to clean it up. Okay. So I'm taking a little bit of white and blending it up top too. Can't forget all my little bubbles. There we go. Okay. Next thing, I think the last thing I'm going to do, I need to work a little bit on this fin up here, but I need to do this fin here because nothing's been done to it. So we're going to go ahead and paint this in. Grab a little bit of our yellow. Still want more yellow here. Still want a little more yellow on the belly. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up some of this dark color if I can. And just come over this, oops, I need a little water. Come over this purple area. That just outlines everything. Okay, now, I told you that we were going to do a little bit of white mixed with our yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and make that. So all I'm doing is just picking up a little bit of white and mixing it with the yellow straight. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Okay. And we are going to bring in our final lines in the fin here. And of course, I'm getting some dry brushing. So I'm trying to avoid that by adding a little bit of water. Okay, now I'm going to just very gently clean up the edge here and just blend it a little bit at the bottom. Okay. Well, you're passionate about it, and that's good. All right, so I'm picking up what little bit I have left of my orange color, which isn't as dark as I wanted it to be. So we're gonna mix in. All right, we'll just mix in a little bit of red because I want that to be darker. All right. Now I want to blend this a little bit. So this looked better before. I'm not sure that I really did the right thing with this fin. I think maybe I should have left it alone. Maybe I should have left it alone. We'll see if I can salvage it. Sometimes in art, you know, you get going and you add things that maybe didn't need to be added. You know, you just go a little bit overboard. That happens quite often, I'm sure, to many artists. It's all right. It's okay. Just blend it a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I don't think it's that bad. I do want to have a little bit here, a little bit of yellow down here. And some right here. See. So I'm just putting this like yellow white that I made down in like the bottom of the fins. All right, and let's see, is there anywhere else that I'm missing? This is a little dark here. So I'm just going to blend this a little bit. All right, I'm looking. Maybe a little bit there. This is just highlights at this point. All I'm doing is coming in and just putting some stripes with that kind of yellow white, just to give it some highlights. Okay. All right. I don't know how I feel about that eye. Well, what I'm going to do is put a little bit of like pure white at the bottom here. a little bit over its eye. There. That'll make it pop a little bit. And I accidentally, hold on. I accidentally went over my dark area here. We're just going to fix that. And then very gently fix the black line. And then we're done. Now, I don't think anybody followed along with me today, which is fine. But if you did, please speak up in chat and let me know, because we can critique it in the Discord server if you want. You don't have to. Let's see. Am I done? I think I'm going to say I'm done. Whether I am or I'm not. I think I'm going to say it. I'm looking. I'm trying to see if there's... Oh, hold on. Oh, man. I'm out of yellow. And I really... You know what? I'm just going to get it right on the brush. Because there needs to be a little yellow line right here. Oops. Just a little bit. I don't normally recommend pulling your paint directly from the tube like this, but I really just only needed a tiny bit. So I didn't want to put it down in the paint. Okay. There we go. Okay, now I'm getting carried away. Somebody stop me. I'm getting carried away. I need to stop. It's fine. This is what happens to artists. We get very carried away. Okay, look how much of this purplish color I still have left in that pink. A lot. Okay, let's take a look. So first of all, let's go back to the reference photo. All right, so there's our reference photo. And generally we're looking to see like where our highlighted areas are. So like the edge of the tail, you can see down here on the belly. All right, so let's look at this. How'd I do? All right, well, this area here is kind of dark. I can clean that up with like a little bit more of this color here. I'm just gonna have to make more though, because I don't have any. I'll have to make it. But here, this has like, in the original photo, it's actually got like brush strokes that go this way. So I maybe could come in here and clean up those brush strokes. I think that I was pretty effective at the choppiness, the scales. I could probably connect these a little bit more, but I think that they look fine. Where I really could work, again, similar to last night with the drawing, apparently fins just aren't my thing. I need to work on the fins. Like, these fins down here aren't too bad, but this one here, I think maybe because I forgot. So these, I did that technique where I while it was still wet, I brought in the lighter color, the yellow. This one dried. So I probably should have just painted the entire thing with the orange again, and then did the exact same technique that I did down here. And I think that that would have been more successful. Now I can come in, I think I'm going to come in later with some yellow stripes, you know, and so that you can see them. I want them to be as clear as they are up here, but just not as jagged. Those just look really raggedy. So I'm going to clean all of the lines up. Now I'm going to hold this up because I actually can see a lot more lines than you guys can. There's like a lot more in there. So part of it is just like OBS or whatever, you know, the camera is not showing you guys exactly what I can see. But also my foliage is excellent. I just want to say I love doing foliage. I think it's like really fun, and you can get cool, you know, you get like these little like yellow bits in there, sometimes just from mixing your colors really well. So anyway, overall I think it was successful. It turned out better than I thought it was going to, considering that my lines were really messed up to begin with, that I got my proportions off. And I probably actually want to fix this up here and make this like a little less of a concave slope and make it like a little bit more convex, like just a little bit. So I'm going to have to mix a new batch of this reddish orange color. Overall though, I think I did good. So does anybody have any questions? And thank you, by the way, Crixano, for all the information on Judaism. That was really interesting. I really didn't know very much about it. That's one of the few religions I don't actually know a whole lot about. You were going to go to your first Jewish Sabbath service, but it was right after things started. Yeah. Now, are you interested in going to study or to maybe participate? I mean, you don't have to tell me. I'm just curious. But and thank you, by the way. You said that this looks really good, so thank you. I appreciate that. This is by far not my best work, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll go with that. You're not sure yet. Well, cool. Well, you know, we can always talk more about it later in DM or whatever, but that's pretty cool. I appreciate you sharing all the information. So, well, if that's all of the questions we have for today, I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for joining me. Next week, we're going to be doing rowboats. So we're doing a drawing of a rowboat on a lake, and then we're going to be doing a painting of a little tiny rowboat and some mountains. It's going to be more of a landscape than anything else, but I wanted to keep with the rowboat theme. So that's what we've got going next week. Of course, I have my crochet lessons on Tuesday afternoon, and I have my guided meditation Tuesday night and yoga, restorative yoga, on Thursday night. So check those out as well. All right. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful weekend.